This is so weird. Welcome back to Human. I am your host, Jessica McDonald. Before we jump into the episode, I have to acknowledge, I think there's a bit of an echo. I don't know, because I am recording in a brand new space. I am in my apartment in downtown Toronto. I have officially moved. I have been MIA for 2 weeks on the podcast because I've been moving. There will be an episode coming out all about moving out of your parents' home, if you should, making that decision, and how fucking awful moving is. But I also have to acknowledge it is the 80th episode of Human, and this episode is coming out on my 21st birthday. I mean, hopefully if Jess gets her editing shit together. But I am so excited to be sitting here and finally recording an episode. I honestly really was sad and didn't feel as much of myself not being in the swing of things of recording and editing and posting. So welcome back. There is going to be a bit of a new era of Jess, I think, because I am no longer in my parents' basement. I am living in downtown Toronto and I am so excited about it. But that is not what this episode is about. This episode is about breakups, okay? And I think breakups aren't always the most, exciting thing. They're fucking awful. They're heart-wrenching. They're so difficult. They take so much time, but they're so worth it in the end. Whenever I have thought about breaking up with someone or have been going through a breakup, I have consistently repeated to myself that if this person was meant to be in my life, they will come back. If this person is meant to, really be my person, if I am making a mistake, if I am fucking up in some way by dumping someone or getting dumped by someone, reminding myself that the universe will bring them back into my life if it's meant to be, it brought me peace. It made me feel a bit more at ease. And breakups are not easy, but they are actually the gateway to the biggest growth we typically experience. And that's why I think this episode is so important. And it's felt honestly kind of difficult to make this episode at this time because I've been really out of the frame of mind of a breakup right now because I haven't been through one since actually the beginning of COVID. So I have typically been through the kind of breakup where I was the one to decide to break up with the person, but the last breakup I went through, I was the one who was dumped, and that is a whole other ball game. But right now, I'm gonna kind of just talk about, honestly, my personal womanly experience being a heterosexual person in those relationships, being a straight person in heterosexual relationships, and what that has looked like for me. But I think I'm more going to focus on how important it is to break up with someone or end a relationship when you are no longer being yourself. Glennon Doyle said this, I'm pretty sure on her podcast called We Can Do Hard Things, where she said, even if you didn't want to leave a relationship, it is a gift if someone breaks up with you because they are no longer in it. Or if you're the one, oh my God, you're totally going to be able to hear sirens. I also have been hesitant to film an episode because this room is there's nothing really on the walls yet, and it's going to sound like downtown Toronto, and I have a microphone that picks up so much, but here we are. But when you decide to break up with them, or break up with someone, you are actually doing them a favor. Because if you've even thought about breaking up with someone, if you've been like, maybe this isn't working, it's not working. If you've questioned, should I break up with them? Girlie, you should. I was in the position when I was in high school where I went to my work besties and I was like, they were like, oh my God, how's your boyfriend? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I should. We've gotten a huge fight. I'm thinking about breaking up with him. And I've had a girlfriend be like, oh my God, no, don't break up with him. Why would you? Never say that to a girlfriend if they say, I think I should break up with him. If one of your friends says, I think I should break up with my significant other, you say, yes, absolutely. If you're considering it, it's probably the best thing to do. Let's talk about why. And I think this really plays into if you are a teenager or in your early 20s or in your mid 20s, even if you're in your late 20s, you shouldn't be staying with someone who you are seriously contemplating leaving. If you are having the same fight, which is what we do, we don't have different fights about different things. They may look different, but we are fighting about the same thing over and over and over again. Sometimes it might not get better. Sometimes it might not. And I am really thinking of 16, 17, 18-year-old Jess. When I was dating someone when we were both so young, and that doesn't, my age that I just gave you doesn't matter. I just talked to someone who was 21, I want to say, or 20, going through the same thing I went through when I was 17. And there are people who are going through the same thing at 28 that I went through at 17, or someone who's 20, 27, someone who's 35 going through the same thing. And it doesn't matter how old you are, it matters the relationship you're in and what you're experiencing. And the biggest thing is like, when you don't feel like you can be fully yourself, when you feel like you are being less of yourself to please the other person, when you are like making little white lies so a fight doesn't ensue. When you are wearing something instead of the hot ass crop top or your titty out top because you don't want your partner to get angry with you or to cause a fight, it's not working. I am here to tell you there is better out there. There is someone who will feel empowered by you feeling empowered. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time I got out of a toxic relationship. I didn't know that for the 2 years I was single, trying so hard to find someone who wanted to date me. But we don't want to just date anybody because you're awesome. You're so fucking cool. And there's so much life to live that if you are with someone who makes you feel so much less than who you are, so much less worthy, so much more insecure, who's like, if someone ever says something that makes you feel like your body is not beautiful or your mind is not incredible, they're not worth it. They're not worth keeping in your life because they are likely struggling through their own insecurities, and God bless them. I hope they fucking work through their shit. Namaste. Okay? But that's not your responsibility. When I was breaking up with my ex, I remember so clearly it was 2 days after it was officially over. Let me paint you a fucking goddamn picture. It took 7 days, not bringing my phone to school for 2 days, 3 phone calls, and 3 in-person conversations before it was finally over. And you know what? 6 months before this whole event, I tried to break up with him too. It takes so long. My friend told me that also, this is something that I'm not even going to get really into, but a lot of women are emotionally manipulated in relationships. Physical abuse is a whole other realm I'm not going to dive into because I don't have the proper education and knowledge to speak on it. And I also feel like I don't about the emotional abuse or manipulation, but it is so common nowadays to be manipulated by someone. And a friend told me that statistically, and this comes from a licensed therapist that she spoke to, women go back to their abuser, I think it was 7 times, 7 or 9, but I'm 95% sure it was 7 times. Women go back to their abuser 7 times. So if you're sitting with yourself and you're being like, I tried to break up with that person 3 times before the 4th time finally worked. Or I'm sitting here and I have tried so many times and it's never worked. It's not your fault. It's not your fault it never worked because breaking up is so hard. Change is so hard. Change is so challenging, but guess what? It is our only constant. It is our only certainty in life is that life will constantly change. And this is why breakups are so fucking important, to be honest, in our lives. When I went through my breakup after that week of roller coaster of emotions. First of all, back to what I was going to say, I sat there and I was like, I feel so guilty. I feel so sad and I feel so bad and I feel so guilty because I kept picturing this person that I loved for 2 years and still deeply loved. I pictured them hurting. And I thought, how can I be the person to inflict that hurt on them? But when that guilt started to subside, when my parents said, like, it's not your responsibility, it's okay, and then when I talked about it in therapy too, I felt free. I felt like Jess again. I felt like I didn't know who Jess was for years at that point, for months on end, because I was minimizing myself so much because I didn't want a fight to break out, or I didn't want that person I was with to get upset. And that is never our job, and that is not love. That is not healthy. That is not safe. That is not a relationship you ever have to be in. And I didn't know that. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And this is the biggest thing I just talked about with a friend. You will never, what I say or what your bestie says or what your family says about the person you're dating, if they keep saying you need to break up with them, what they say won't change your mind. It could try. I'm going to sit here and really fucking try to change your mind if you're in a relationship that you keep thinking you should break up with the person. I'm going to sit here and try so hard to tell you you should. But it doesn't matter what anyone else says until you believe it. Because my family, parts of the people in my family just hated the guy I was dating for the last couple months of our relationship because they saw how awful I was treated. They saw how upset I was, how heartbroken, how not myself I was in the relationship, but they saw me stay. So they hated that guy. But I wasn't ready to leave, because if I broke up with him that first time I tried, I know I would have sat with myself and thought, what if? What if? What if I made a mistake? What if I tried harder? What if he was the person I was supposed to marry? And so I truly believe that if you're contemplating breaking up with someone, you need to do it when you're ready. And don't get me wrong, I think it's very common to always have that what if regretful possibility in your head. But at some point, if you try for so long and you hit a breaking point, you'll hit a point where you're like, no, I tried so hard. I tried so many times. I know I'm done. And I know this isn't going to work anymore. And that's when your breakup is so much more sure and you're so much more confident in yourself, and you're still going to be heartbroken and you're still going to cry so much and it's still going to feel like the world is fucking ending. But I promise you, the world is not ending. Your world is just beginning. And breaking up with someone makes your world just begin. But getting broken up with is a whole different fucking ball game. I feel like I can't even talk to this in terms of a long-term relationship, but I was broken up with from a 2-month situationship, and I didn't want it to end. I pictured this whole other future with this guy, and I couldn't get over him for like a year, if not more. And that's normal. I see so much on social media about like, it's been a year and I can't get over my ex. That's okay. I've talked to another close friend recently who said, I don't think I'll ever be fully over him. And I'm trying really hard to come to peace to that. Because when you are broken up with, there's so much unconditional love still inside of you that I think it's really hard to get over. But back to what Glennon Doyle said, that person did you a favor by breaking up with you, because you don't need to be in a relationship with someone who isn't in it as much as you are, because you'll get hurt. You deserve so much better than that. If you are dating someone who keeps contemplating breaking up with you, sit with that. Why would you want to date someone who keeps considering dumping your ass? You deserve so much better than that. And sometimes we need a breakup to learn who we really are, to grow, and to think about who we want to be, how we would rather be treated. The things that we actually low-key got really annoyed with in our ex relationships, and what we don't need to bring into a new one. And I think there's such a big element of trust in the universe, or trust in whatever you believe, God, yourself. If you're a pessimist, well, good luck. I don't have advice for you. But there's an element of trust, I think, that needs to be felt within yourself, that if they're really the person for you, it'll come back. You'll run into each other years down the line. I used to picture that. I thought, if he's meant to be mine, I will run into him. And I would picture it before I went to sleep at night. And that's okay. You picture it, girly. Do it. And a trust as well that the right person will come into your life. Because, the right person came into mine. And I thought, how was I allowing so much bullshit into my life before you? I never knew a guy so loving and kind and unconditional could come into my life. And let me tell you the most, quick examples I can give. I can wear whatever the fuck I want. Tits out, butt out, whatever post on Instagram, sexy bikini pic on Instagram. He loves it. He loves me. He hypes me up. He calls me sexy. He's like, if a guy hits on you in a bar, that means my girlfriend's hot. Amazing. Duh, my girlfriend's hot. And there is a trust there that I don't need to reciprocate the flirt when I've been hit on, because obviously he's my man and I love him. That is possible. I think it's important to recognize when you're dating someone and they become so jealous or controlling of you, that is their insecurity. I felt like I had to prove my loyalty to my ex-boyfriend because he got so threatened, when it wasn't my job to fix him and it wasn't my problem. And I wouldn't have had any of the experiences I've had in the past 3 years at this point if I hadn't left him. I wouldn't have a podcast, guys, okay? Think about this. You're with someone right now who's I don't want to say who's a piece of shit, but obviously you don't see them as that because there's so many emotions involved in it. But when you tell me one story about the way he's treated you, about how he's gotten angry over something not valid, something that's not valid. Example, you have a male friend who you are catching up with, who you've never slept with, you've never been romantic with, who is a platonic male friend, and he flips out. Irrational. Okay? You're allowed to have guy friends. I know I feel like I'm talking to the straight women in the crowd, but it's because that's who I am. And I know too many straight women who have experienced this. I don't know where I was going with that, but you don't need that. There's a healthy level of jealousy, and then there's controlling, and there's insecurity. And when your partner has that insecurity, it's not your job to fix that. And you're not going to know what's out there until you experience it. And you don't want to live your whole life in a what-if relationship. And my brother and I were both in our first ever relationships at the same time, and they were both incredibly controlling relationships. But of course, at the time, we didn't know it. But our parents, at least our mom, our parents are high school sweethearts. And it was basically both of their first serious relationships, that's questionable, but since they were 16, 17. So, how fucking serious could it be before that? And my parents said to both of us, they were like, you don't have to stay with the first person you've ever been with. And we were like, shut the fuck up. You guys did blah, 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 blah. And we didn't know yet. Oh, there's so much to be said about this. And I think I'm just rambling on and on. But I'm going to give some advice in terms of breaking up with someone. And then I'll circle back to the deep shit that I'm saying about, if you should really dump them or not. First of all, if you are trying to break up with someone, don't do it at one of your houses, okay? It is really hard and really awkward, and I've never done it because my parents luckily gave me this advice, but can you imagine how awkward it would be to walk upstairs after you've dumped their son and you say, hi, Mr. and Mrs. whatever, hi, my ex-boyfriend's parents, now recently, as in 2 minutes ago, ex-boyfriend's parents, okay, bye. And the parents usually know they're getting dumped. They usually know the breakup's happening. My ex told me I blindsided him and his family when breaking up with him. I'm I'm so sorry, I'm not dating your family. It's so complicated when you get tied in with the family too. But guess what? It is not your job to keep another family together. It is not your job to stay friends with the family. You're not dating the family, you're dating the person. And if the person isn't what is making you feel like they're the right person to be in your life, the family will get over it. I fucking promise you that. Woo! Lots of feelings come up with that. But don't do it in someone's house, okay? Here are different places. A public park. Someone's car. Don't do it in a restaurant. I think that's too public. I think those were my two go-to spots. We would park somewhere in a random parking lot, or we would go on a walk in a public park, and that way you can part your ways. You don't have to tell them to get the fuck out of your house. You don't have to awkwardly go leave their family members and be like, bye guys. Just don't do it in their house. It's like asking for a disaster. Also, I just had a flash into my brain about this couple that just broke up that I know of that still hang out. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, listen. You can't get over your ex if you're still talking to them. And it really sucks if they're a part of your friend group or you're a part of theirs. And you can find other friends and you might have to. And it's just so much to get into in just one episode. But I promise it is so much more worth it to leave than to stay in something that you're unhappy and makes you less of yourself. I think it's time to look at my notes. Okay. Oh my God. I love my notes on this. When you stay with someone who kind of in your gut, you're not meant to stay with them. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Going back to the breakup advice of not breaking up in someone else's house, my parents also told me, if you feel like you can't break up with them in that moment, buy yourself more time. Don't just agree to staying together. That's what fucked me over the first time trying to break up with my ex. Sit in that moment, and if they're not allowing you to break up with them, be like, okay, fine, I need more time. Can we talk about this in a couple days? Can we call about it in 3 days? Can we call about it on Friday? Just buy yourself more time. Don't make a concrete answer, because then you're just gonna try to go back to normal, and you can't. You're still fucking annoyed with this person. You still don't want to date this person. Buy yourself more time. My brother and I were actually not close really at this point in our lives, but the advice that I gave him when he was breaking up with his ex while I was still with mine is, I was like, put your phone away. Put your phone away. Give me your phone for a couple days. Putting your phone away gives you so much clarity. You start to think about, what you really want. And this is the first taste of freedom I had when I was breaking up with my boyfriend. I mean, listen, I hadn't experienced being a young adult yet, single, because I was 16, 17, and 18. I was 18 when I finally broke up with him. And I hadn't experienced freedom yet. So I distinctly remember I had no phone with me. I was standing, waiting for the bus stop, and I just felt like this huge weight was off my shoulders. We weren't officially broken up yet, but we were 3/4 of the way there. 2/4, whatever, however many, 3/4 of the way there. And I just thought oh my God, I don't have to report to anybody. I don't have to text anybody. I'm by myself and I can be alone. This feels amazing. And that time without my phone just made me connect with myself. And that's honestly hard to do when you have someone up your fucking asshole trying to ask you to text them 24/7, which a lot of relationships are like. It's so much better to text someone when you want to text them instead of when they want you to text them. But when you're staying with someone who isn't right, or you keep considering breaking up with, or you don't feel like your full self with them, you are blocking off other people's energies. Okay, so when you are dating someone that you can't be fully who you are with, you are blocking off the opportunity for other incredible people to come into your life. Think about if you actually ended up breaking up with that person. You opened up a whole new door for new incredible humans that honestly, their energies might be way more aligned with yours to come into your life. When you are dating a piece of shit, you are not allowing new possibilities to enter. That hunky man at the coffee shop isn't going to be able to ask you your number when you are like portraying this energy of I am in a terrible toxic relationship, or like I am unhappy in my relationship. And they don't all have to be toxic. You could leave because you aren't with them at the right time. And I kind of believe, I read this in a book, I kind of believe this, that the right person will never come at the wrong time. If it feels like the right person is here at the wrong time, then I don't think it's the right person. You know what I mean? And I think it's also challenging too. Like I encourage you to listen to the rest of my dating series, because I talked about being single, and I talked about the talking stage, and I talked about officially like seriously dating. And when you're in the talking stage, I think you need a period of time between being broken up with your ex and being single before you jump into a new relationship, so you don't like talk all about your ex. If you are a month out of a relationship and you're like, oh my God, I just met the perfect person, but I'm not over my ex, so it's the wrong time, I don't think they're the right person. Or if they are, they'll come back when you're ready. The universe will bring them back into your life when you're ready. Okay? I hope you trust me, because that's how I feel. Also, in general, life is so fucking hard. But when you're dating someone who actually isn't able to hold space for you, isn't able to support you, honestly just brings more drama, more negativity, and more difficulty for you when you are having a tough time. It makes life 10 times harder. Life is fucking hard. People are gonna die. People are gonna get sick. You're gonna fail a class. Like, I hope you don't, but like, I hope someone doesn't die. But like, this is life. Life gets hard. Like, so many things can come up that are so challenging. And if you're dating someone who actually can't support you or can't be there for you, or just does it in a very unhealthy, negative way, they're gonna just make it harder. And I think a lot of times we can be like, well, I'm so scared to be alone. Sometimes being alone is actually better. When you're alone, you don't need to hold someone else's emotions in a time of difficulty. Like, I swear so many people have been through this where they're like, I'm so upset because this happened in my family and I went to tell my significant other this, and then they started breaking down about something else, and then they started putting their emotions on me, yet wait, I'm the one going through a hard time? Or you're like, I got so angry with my partner about this thing, and then suddenly I'm comforting them. And I'm just, you know, like, you'll know if this resonates, guys, okay? Like, I hope not all of you have been in this toxic relationship shit, and I feel like that's all I'm talking about in this episode, but like, just there's so much negative experience that I've heard, and it's just, it's so hard. And like that person will make it so much harder in a non-loving way when they could just be there for you. And when they're just toxic and manipulative, it's better to navigate it alone than navigating it with a shitty person. And if you've lost yourself in a relationship, it's time to walk away and find yourself again. Because oftentimes, it's really hard to find yourself in a relationship. Luckily, I feel like I'm in this space of like maturity and love and kindness, which I didn't experience until I experienced the shit, where if I was struggling with myself, I could ask my boyfriend for the space and the love, and like, you know, maybe not texting or not calling for a couple days, and like he would love and support me, which would still be challenging for him. But like, if he knew I needed to find myself, he would support me in that. But a lot of times, like, especially if we're in our, you know, mid-young 20s, we need to be alone to do that. There's some things that you just won't learn unless you're fully alone, and you need to find that. Okay, so these are some other things I wrote about relationships. Breakups are so hard because you lose your best friend. You do. And I mentioned this before in the episode that you literally, you can't keep talking after you break up because no one's going to heal, no one's going to move on, but you do lose your best friend. And I think that's actually the hardest part. You lose someone who you talk to every fucking day. And you can't replace that. I mean, you can try, and hopefully girlfriends are still there to love and support you. But if you've been in a relationship that's so toxic for so long and you've complained to your girlfriends for so long about it, they might be so overhearing it. When I was breaking up with my ex-boyfriend, one of my friends literally said, I was like, no, I'm breaking up with him. It's over this time. She said to me, I'll believe it when I see it. because I had told her so many times I was going to break up with him that she was like, girl, fuck, when you do it, hallelujah, but like I won't believe it till it's here. And hopefully those girls are still by your side, or those friends are still by your side who you've told so many times you're going to end it, and when you finally do, they are there. Because you don't want to keep putting your friends through that either. Like you obviously are always going to always turn to your friends when you need support. Turn to your family. Turn to the people you can. Go see a therapist, please. But at one point, they're not going to want to hear it anymore. And it's going to be weird when you lose that person that you've talked to every single day. But hopefully, you can reach out to that group. Don't be scared. Reach out to the people who have been in your life and maybe weren't as close in the past couple of months because of the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the partner. But if they really love you, they're going to be there. And maybe it's time to make some amends. And I think it's important to really let yourself feel it all, because you're going to grieve. We don't just grieve when someone dies. We grieve when we lose someone or something. And a breakup, you are losing a huge, huge person in your life. So you're going to be sad, you're going to feel guilt, you're going to be happy, you're going to be joyful, you're going to feel strange, you're going to feel bad, you're going to feel embarrassed, you're going to feel awkward, you're going to be horny, you're going to miss the sex. And that's normal. And we can't shame ourselves for all of those feelings, because it's all that comes with losing a huge person in your life. And a lot of these feelings come up too when you lose a friend, because you lose a huge person in your life and someone that you can go to in certain circumstances that another person just can't fit the mold of. No one is supposed to come in and just replace the role that person held in your life. It's just a hole. And slowly over time, it's gonna fill up with the love that you hopefully have for yourself. And one day, I promise you, it won't feel as big. I genuinely thought that there would never be a time where I don't talk about my ex and just like reference the shitty stuff that we like went through and the shit that he said. But like, again, my friend and I said, like, I don't know if you can really get over someone until you're with someone else. Which is not even to say you get over them. If you have genuine love within yourself, then you're good. If you take the time after a breakup to genuinely find who you are, yet you still think about your ex, those are memories. You're going to think about the memories. That is normal. But it's been 3 years for me, and I don't talk about him anymore like I used to. My mom would be like, oh my God, is there ever going to be a time where we don't say that dude's name? And the same thing when I got dumped. I never thought I could stop referencing him. And it's funny because now I sit on the podcast and that's when I reference them. But like in relationships or in my friendships in my life, I do say a lot less. I literally have in my notes says, don't fuck your ex. Just don't. I already talked about that. There's also this feeling, I think at the beginning of the breakup, where you'll sit with yourself and be like, wow, I genuinely thought I was going to marry this person. Like wholeheartedly, I thought like this was my person. And it was funny because I wrote that in my notes when I was having a bath, and I thought about my boyfriend now, and I thought, wow, if we break up one day, like I'm going to be shocked. I will. And I know it's possible. It is. And I think that's a healthy thing in our relationship, is to actually sit and be like, it's totally possible that we might break up one day, because life happens. And if that happens, like I trust the universe that like it'll be what the world's supposed to throw at me. And I guess that's it. But like, I'll be fucking, one, devastated, but two, just really surprised. And I think it's really hard to work through that shock of, I thought I was going to marry this person. And that might sit with you forever. That might sit with you until you meet someone new who can show you a different, true form of love. But that shock is normal. And I think that's what I wanted to say about it. There's so many fish in the sea. I think that's like kind of my end of this, is that like there's so many fish in the sea, and you think you'll never find someone who might love you the way this guy does or this girl does. But like, trust me, there's so many fish. And the things that you get annoyed with your current partner, you don't have to have again, honestly. And relationships are really hard. Sometimes you want to keep trying, and sometimes if you want to give up, listen. You know your intuition. Your intuition is right. Time genuinely heals things that can take years, but it does. And go to therapy and listen to breakup albums. Olivia Rodrigo. My brother was going through a breakup as soon as the Olivia Rodrigo breakup album came out, and I was like, you have to listen to it. Oh my God. But no matter what kind of breakup you're going through, it doesn't matter if you've dated for 3 years, 2 months, never officially called it a relationship. It's gonna hurt, and that's okay. It won't hurt forever. If you scream, cry into your pillow, I'm with you. I've been there. And our lowest points give us a chance for growth, and it gives us this opportunity for a new life. And I think I kind of procrastinated making this episode. That because I was also moving, but making this episode's a heavy one because breakups are really hard, and I've been through my fair share. And being in a new relationship right now, I know it's very possible for a breakup to happen, but I think there's a new found peace to being in a relationship and thinking, this could end one day. This will end one day. If not in a breakup, in death. Just to be completely honest and raw. So trust yourself, trust your gut, choose yourself, truly. Because if you don't end a fight in a relationship feeling like you spoke what you needed to speak, write down what you want to say before breakup. I always did this. I spoke from my notes, and so did my ex-boyfriend. He did this too. He at the very last day of our breakup, he came with all this written stuff, and we cried and cried and cried, and you held love for this person, and that is okay. No matter how awful they may have treated you too, or, the shit that went down. Sometimes it's just timing. Sometimes it's not a horrible reason for you to break up. There's love, and everything you're feeling is normal, and you're going to be okay. And if you want to see more posts about this and more conversations about this, follow at Human to Human Pod. Not to plug right there. Oh, it felt so good to be back. I feel so myself again. I feel like my jaw is really tight from talking so much. I'm so not used to recording again, but I'm so excited. Hopefully it doesn't sound bad. Hopefully the echo of my room gets better when I put more things in it. And if you ever want to talk about this stuff, please DM me. It's really crazy when you start to grow and evolve as a human being and have been in a toxic relationship and kind of move through it and move out of it. It's just such a different energy to talk to someone who's in one. And I just want to give all the support that I can. And it could leave you. If it's really bad, it could leave you with PTSD. And I know people who have experienced that, both online and just public figures and people also in my life. So look out for yourself, reach out for the support. You cannot go through the breakup alone. I really hope this episode helped and made you feel seen and heard. I love you so much. I know you can do it. I have all the faith and listen to this episode over and over. And to take the dating series full fucking circle, embrace being single because it is the best time in your life. Not the best time. Ugh, I fucking hate when people say that. It is a really cool time in your life, and it's weird because you actually never fucking know when it'll be over. I did not expect my single phase to be over when it became over. So live in it, live in the present, trust the universe, trust whatever you believe in, and please come back to the show. I hope to post every week again. We'll see. Happy birthday to me. This episode is out on my birthday. I love you all. I love you for listening. I'm so happy to be posting again. And follow me at Human to Human Pod and rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever episodes you listen to. And I will talk to you very soon.